Hey guys, so it's Monday here at CrossFit Douala, and I'm here with a Miami, dare I say, refugee from Hurricane.
Cuba and Miami.
Cuba, really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh gosh, I didn't know that. So I'm here with Danny Lopez-Calleja. Is that how you pronounce it?
Calleja.
Calleja.
There you go.
Yeah, from CrossFit. What is it? Demon, Soul.
Baphomet.
From Miami, Florida. They're here. Him and his gal are here seeking refuge from the hurricane, and so I just wanted to pick Danny's brain a little bit. I've been exposed to CrossFit a little bit more, and I've just been thinking a little bit on the programming side of things. And Danny, we were talking about it earlier, but so in weightlifting, the pretty straightforward way of programming is further out from a meet, you do a variety of movements, higher sets and reps, and then as you get closer to the meet, go more to heavy singles, and emphasis is more on the full lifts. But what's it like tackling it for a CrossFit competition? Because I mean, usually you guys may not even know what you're going to do, or even if you do, you're not just doing heavy singles or just doing full squat snatches and clean and jerks. So what's your approach like, say, going, say you're training for the Open or training for the Wodapalooza?
So I think it depends. CrossFit is quite complicated because for obvious reasons, we don't know what we're going to compete in and what our workouts are going to be, what training is going to look like. But for us, we try not to let our athletes just sign up and compete in random events. We like to have some kind of data and look at the overall feel and the kind of events that certain larger competitions have. So I can use something like a Wodapalooza, for example. We're very big fans of that. One of the obvious reasons it's in Miami. Mm-hmm. But I think besides the CrossFit Games, maybe some other events get somewhat close, like a Granite Games or something like that. But Wodapalooza does a very good job at giving athletes like the true athletic experience, regardless of what division they're signing up in. So you look at an event like that I think this is their 6th or 7th year running. There's like a good amount of data as far as like the kind of events they have at their competition. Mm-hmm. So we have like a feel of what they look like, and it makes it a lot easier for us to prepare. So preparation for a very high volume, very long weekend like a Wodapalooza looks very much different from the Open. Mm-hmm. Right? We have a good amount of data of both. Again, you don't know exactly what events you're going to have, but you have like this concept, and that makes it much easier. The parallels between program design for CrossFit and weightlifting, in my opinion, is when you are in your off season or your GPP phase, or you're months out of an event. It's time to address your weak points, just like your lifts. And your exercise selection is way more broad, right? For CrossFit, when it gets time to compete, everything looks a lot more sport specific. So I'll use this as an example. When we are in the off season or we're months away from a competition, we do as best as we can to what I call segmenting all of our different training. Mm-hmm. So let's say someone's has an issue in the snatch and also has an issue with developing their aerobic base. Mm-hmm. Instead of just giving them a shit ton more of fucking CrossFit and just more CrossFit and more CrossFit and more WODs and Metcons and all this shit, what we'll do is we'll segment it and we'll give them more aerobic work. Mm-hmm. We'll give them more snatch work, and we will not necessarily mix the two. Mm-hmm. The closer we get to a competition, the more sport specific the training would look like. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just like in weightlifting, say if you have like obviously the weightlifting meets never change. 3 heavy attempts on the snatch, 3 heavy attempts on the clean and jerk. So say it would be similar to say if you knew all the events for the Wodapalooza, your whole training leading up to it, you wouldn't just do all the events over and over and over again. Just like in weightlifting, there may be a little bit of a debate on this, but you wouldn't just work up to a heavy single on the snatch and a heavy single on the clean and jerk over and over again.
Absolutely.
When you have these, you've already identified these specific weaknesses you have that you need to work on.
Yeah, I mean, look, before regionals and before Wodapalooza, events will start to come out and we'll test the events. We'll like do full run-throughs of the events.
Yeah.
But even then, you know, like this year, I believe we were the last or second to last region to go in the southeast or the Atlantic region.
Mm-hmm.
So we had several weeks of practice. We didn't just do more of the workouts.
Right.
We'll break. You know, there was that workout that like hurt everyone. That dip workout. Was
Yeah,
like the hysteria. You know, in my opinion. The reason, you know, it wasn't because of PEDs. It's more because there's issues with coaching and athletes moderating their own intensity and volume. So these guys go from not doing dips all year. That's not a very common CrossFit exercise that people do a lot of, is high volume kipping ring dips. And they go from maybe doing 2 workouts in the whole training cycle with dips. The workout comes out and they fucking want to do it twice a day. And that's how they tear a pec. So you know, we'll break down exercise patterns as much as we can, and we will break down the not just the workout, but the exercise to the purest form and train different segments of it. You know,
and that's more for like like you said, the competitions where you actually have accumulated data. You can go back and see like this historically. This is what they seem to gravitate towards, and on what workouts that they have for the qualifier and the competition. But what's it like? Because I know you've had a very successful team going to the regionals. You guys won a couple years back. What is it like programming for a competition when you have more or less you don't have a clue on what they're going to throw at you? Like this past year, they didn't even have barbells in the regional. So like how do you approach that when it's just more of an unknown?
So at the end of the day, you know, it's funny every year when Dave Castro or, you know, CrossFit HQ, they put out these open workouts of the, you know, the regionals of the games. Everyone's like, there's no barbell there. You know, every year there's something that like every single year. And in my opinion, like that ship has sailed. If you're new at the sport, I can understand you being a little annoyed that there's no barbell, there's no this, there's too much of this, there's too much of that. But look, here's what I tell all these guys. We sign up to play their game. It is not like the NBA or the NFL. Like you and I can go play basketball and we'll be fine, right?
I won't.
But if you're gonna play CrossFit, it's actually their game. It's their sport, right? It's like their own sanctioned thing, and we gotta play by their rules. And if you've been doing this long enough, you know exactly what time it is, and you know the curve balls that get thrown at us every year. So here's to summarize all of that. You just got to be really fucking fit and very well-rounded. And a lot of it, if you like it or not, goes back to like the kind of stuff that they teach in the level 1. Everyone's like, there's no weightlifting in regionals. That's fucking bullshit. There was weightlifting in every event. By their definition, if I take a medicine ball and I squat with it, I throw it overhead to a target and I catch it in a squat, that is lifting weight, right? So as silly as that may sound, CrossFit is not, it's not weightlifting. It's its own sport. So by their definition, almost every workout had a dumbbell. Workout had a weight vest in it. That, by their own definition, is weightlifting. No matter what, you are going to see the fittest dominate. If there's barbells, if it's, you know, next year, if it's all gymnastics or bodyweight exercises, and the year after is all aerobic work, you're going to see the fittest move on to the next phase of the games. And there's a reason why you always hear the same names at the games. The Matt Frasers and the Katrins and the Annies and the Sam Briggs and the Dan Baileys. It's because they are the most fit, you know? So I think best thing that coaches could do when they're looking at program design and preparation for anything and anybody, first of all, is an individualized approach. I don't think a generalized approach for the most fit works. There are some times where the most fit can participate in like group work and classes and shit like that, but for good preparation, there does need to be some kind of underlying individualized approach, number one. And number two, like, consider what you're doing. You're doing CrossFit. You're playing their game. So you need to look at the basics and what their definition of fitness and CrossFit is. And that's what the fuck you got to train, and you can't be surprised by anything that gets thrown at you. You know, again, it's very much different from weightlifting. You know what's going to happen. 3 snatches, 3 clean and jerks. That's it.
Yeah, but just thinking about that, you, if you're familiar with how they define, their criteria of fitness, like to me as a biology major, it's how many offspring you reproduce. So I know it's a little bit different for me than for someone who does CrossFit. But
that would make you very fit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like Genghis Khan to me is the fittest person that has ever lived. Just about everyone is related to him. Some degree of separation or whatnot. But that definitely gives me a lot more insight too. Just kind of as an outsider in a CrossFit gym and just wondering, it's hard enough preparing weightlifters, with their individual strengths and weaknesses, to do the snatch and the clean and jerk. We already know what we're preparing for, and it just kind of blows my mind in a way. Like, how would you get prepared for a competition where, one, you don't know what you're getting ready for, but two, every year it's changing. Just about every competition, you don't know what's being thrown at you. But I guess it's just kind of, you're still sticking to what you know is true, like what criteria of how you're going to be assessed on being fit. Just some.
Look, it changes, but like I said before, man, there's a reason why there's those names in those fixtures. There's a lot of names that come and go. They'll make a splash for a year or two. They'll get these fat sponsorships. They'll go travel around and compete at the whatever throwdown, and they'll get paid to do those things. But the best of the best have been here for a long time and are here to stay. We talked this weekend about some weightlifters. It's the same case for a lot of them. These people who lay low for a few years and towards the end of the quad really start making, reminding people, I'm still here. There's a reason why, hate or love them, they're the best in the country or the best in their sport.
They're doing something right. There's a reason for it. That's just not not by chance. And I'm sure with CrossFit it's much more that way too.
There's other parallels and similarities amongst the two. For weightlifting, you know what you have to prepare for, but still it still leaves a lot of room for interpretation as far as helping someone develop and coaching someone to work on their weak points. In my personal opinion, and I know it's not shared, everyone doesn't share the same opinion, but if you're bad at the snatch, that doesn't mean you should snatch. The secret is not necessarily to do more heavy snatches. You're bad in the clean and jerk, that doesn't mean you need to take more heavy singles in the clean and jerk. I think there's still a lot of room for a lot of creativity within the sport of weightlifting to help someone develop. I think that the two most challenging things as a coach, it's the beginning of someone's career and the top of someone's career.
Yeah.
Helping with development, helping someone solidify a really strong base in training in any sport. And then at the end, one of the more challenging things is when you have someone that is at the top of their game, world-class level, and they're I need help to get this much fucking better.
That's actually the dilemma that Ursula Papandrea had with Derek Johnson when she took him on. It was
he's almost the best.
Yeah, I have one of the best 62 kilo lifters in the country.
Right.
He's already snatching about double body weight. How do I take him from something great to where he can snatch double body weight? And that's so. Yeah, she picked him at what you would consider one of the two hardest and most important portions of a person's career. But at the beginning too, that sets the tone for their whole career.
That's a lot of anxiety for a coach. You're taking on someone who's the top of their game. Honestly, there's way more risk involved in that than anything else. They have a bad meet, everyone's going to look at you. Oh shit, so-and-so is the reason why so-and-so started bombing out at the end of their career,
Yeah, it definitely is a lot of pressure. And then on the beginning side of things, you start them off right, they can flourish and have a great career. But if you get sloppy or complacent or whatnot and let a bad habit manifest itself, and down the road they're going to keep running right back into that same problem. So that may also keep them from reaching their full potential, just like someone being at the top. And also too, when you're at the top of someone's career, and if you've been following them along from the beginning up until then, you're used to watching them train. Your eye is trained to recognize whatever they're doing whether, they may be making some kind of mistake, but you're used to seeing them lift for so long, like you
don't see it.
Yeah, you don't see it at all.
Yeah.
In the training, you may just be used to giving them the same thing. Like they had a weakness at one point in time. CrossFit's probably similar.
Yeah.
A lot of coaches just want to keep pounding that in when that weakness has leveled out, but then all of a sudden another weakness has manifested itself. But they keep pushing the old weakness, and it's
for a weightlifting club and also for like our CrossFit team, I'm a really big fan and believer that I like to have other coaches come out and look at our guys and give me their opinions on stuff, because I agree with you 100%. Like, how often do you sit with someone at a meet or sit with another coach or whatever, a friend, an acquaintance, and you see someone lift and they have an early pull, or they tend to press out, or they have some kind of imbalance in the hip and their pull, whatever it is, and the coach is like, yeah, but that's how they lift. You lift how you lift, and that might be the case for some, but switching coaches or switching training systems or having another opinion on your athlete, you always have to continue learning, and having that other opinion could really help your athlete reach that next level, or not.
Yeah, one of the most valuable things John had told to me, like when I was just asking him about books to read, there may have been one or two books that I would kind of jokingly ask, have you read this book, knowing where he stood, and he was kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum on his training philosophy, and he really didn't laugh back, and he was like, well, even if I don't agree with them, it's still good to read into what they have to say and to see where they're coming from. May end up learning something from them, even though there's all this other stuff that I don't agree with them about. So yeah, it definitely is valuable to kind of explore. See what different coaches have to say on your athletes, just so you don't get that complacency. Like I'm sure you probably read a lot of articles, a lot of books from other coaches. It's not just like you're confined and the end all be all on what and that's all your athletes do.
I mean, I follow and read about people that I don't even necessarily agree with some of the stuff that they do, just because I want to see what's happening.
Yeah.
Like I want to see like what people are doing, what people are following, and develop my own opinion on it. But the sign, in my opinion, of a good coach, trainer, fucking head team leader, whatever it is, like you have to know what the sport or what the space is doing and how people are evolving, at the very least, so that when your athletes or your team comes in and asks you about it, you're not like, you need to be able to respond to those things and speak to them. And I know it's very cliche, but like we should, as coaches, we should never stop our continuing education. We should always continue learning from people.
Yeah, that's when you'll really run into a dead end to your coaching. Once you reach the point where you're like, all right, I know everything I need to know, that's the moment you're going to stop progressing as a coach, right there.
For sure.
So yeah, thanks for your time. I know you got to get headed home, and hopefully you can do some laundry if the power comes back on. But yeah, so what I've gathered from that is, even though CrossFit and weightlifting are different, as long as you stick to the fundamentals on how to compete for your sport, what you're assessed in. CrossFit, it's more fitness. Weightlifting, it's your ability to snatch and clean and jerk proficiently, and your strength in the respective movements, and making sure that you keep learning. No matter what, you're still hearing what other people have to say, what other people are writing, and just keeping an open mind. So thank you guys for watching, and follow Danny at what you have. Danny X Soul is your Instagram handle. Anything else?
Team Soul is our CrossFit or fitness training stuff. We have Team Soul Barbell as well on Instagram, and you can find us online there as well.
Yeah, and they're getting ready to come out with some more Team Scum shirts, so be sure to check those out. But all right, yeah, thanks guys, and comment if you have any questions.
Thank you.